You don't feel too sad about that Gemini Man poster right there, Connor?
I love you.
I wanna be forever young. Do you really wanna live forever?
We were super excited to see this movie.
We went to see it opening night.
Opening night.
The earliest possible showing
Because
we could get
from the
tickets to.
trailers, we saw that this would be a masterpiece of a colossal piece of shit.
Probably, in all honesty, the greatest movie ever made.
So we go, we pre-order these tickets, and we go, and I'm on the popcorn line, and Connor walks up to
deliver
me,
some bad news.
and he says the worst news possible. And Connor says,
Gemini Man got canceled.
and the reason is because this movie was shot in 4K, 120 FPS, 3D, and not a single theater in the whole fucking world can show it in that. There's like 8 theaters in the US who can show it in 2K.
I think there's 12.
12. But most theaters can only show this shit in 60 FPS, 2K, 3D. But our theater couldn't even do that at the time. So the guy at the counter is like, yeah, apparently 60 frames per minute. Like, no, it's not 60 frames per second. But we won't shit on you guy that just works at AMC trying to make a living for his kids. But then we saw Gemini Man the day after.
And boy, oh man, was it the greatest thing ever made.
It delivered. So we're going to start trying to say our scores like straight out with initial thoughts.
11.
Yeah, so I'm going to do his score minus 10. Because in all reality, although I do love this movie, it actually has nothing good about it.
Can I break down my score a bit? So the way I'm rating Gemini Man is I'm adding the amount I enjoyed the movie to the actual score of the movie.
Fair
If I'm being
enough.
honest,
11.
it's probably about a 2.
You're being so generous.
I know.
You just accused me of being so generous.
I'm gonna be generous
You know,
and give this movie a 2.
What's leveling it up from being actually a 1? What's its actual leverage point? I would like you to come up with an answer.
Sometimes the 120 FPS really works.
You mean the 60 FPS we saw it in?
Sometimes the high frame rate actually works, and the actors aren't bad.
Okay, so there's our scores. That's our scores. So now, just so you know, the rest of the review, this isn't going to be a serious review. We're just going to...
Can I read the IMDb trivia now?
We're shitting on this movie. Connor, read the IMDb trivia.
From 2003 to 2010, Nicolas Cage was attached to the project.
I had heard that one. That would have made more sense in 2003.
Johnny Depp turned down Gemini Man in 2012.
There was a quality choice.
The second trailer released for the movie features the song Icon by Jaden Smith, who is Will Smith's son.
Damn. It was better the song was better used in Creed 2.
The film has no connection with the television series Gemini Man 1976. Ang Lee previously directed Hulk.
Yes.
Benedict Wong appeared in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, which also featured...
Oh,
Thank you, IMDb. I learned so much about this.
Plot synopsis. It's pretty baffling. Strap in. It's about a hitman, and they cloned the hitman and made another hitman and sent that hitman to kill the other hitman. And those hitmen are Will Smith. They made a person out of another person and sent him to kill him. Gemini Man. That is the movie. That is the premise.
Okay, can I start by talking about how stupid this movie opens? Will Smith is assassinating a guy on a bullet train. That's the opening scene.
Yeah.
And Will, I treat my women like I treat my firearms, Smith, licks his finger before pulling the trigger.
Like, I guess he was... I think the logic of the writer, the incredible David Benioff, I believe.
Thank you,
yes,
David.
was that he needed to feel the wind to know the way the bullet.
Yeah, because hunters do it, but he doesn't stick his finger in the air.
No, he just goes.
I treat my firearms like I treat my weapons.
That's such a good line. Oh, this is like the shittiest it makes itself out to be so convoluted at the beginning, but then it becomes such like bullshit because it just like
all the complexity dies in the second scene.
Yeah, because you want to know the actual plot is what you thought it was, is that Will Smith doesn't want to be an assassin anymore, so they send young Will Smith to kill him because he's a liability.
Because what happens in the beginning is the whole thing is the CIA sends assassins to take out Will Smith and his loose ends. And the film kind of makes it seem like these loose ends are gonna add some complexity to the storyline, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because they all die instantly.
No.
Except for Will Smith and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who out-chat everyone by being incredible actors.
Also, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character is just the shittiest at her job.
I mean, she's good in the movie.
But the thing is, her character is
Here's the thing, she's unarmed and she takes down a guy who's at least 3 times her body mass.
Oh, powerful.
Who has a gun.
Powerful women. Dude, screw powerful women in this movie. She stays with him no matter what. Honestly, if I were her and had heard, oh, but I have a clone and, that's happening,
when she
I would have been like...
Do you remember when Mary Elizabeth Winstead gets naked in this movie for no reason?
Oh, whoa, my God. Young Will Smith just goes get naked, and I think it's because of Wire, and he just keeps going, I'm thorough.
It felt like such a season 8 Cox Matter
And also,
line.
I couldn't figure out if she was hitting on old Will Smith and young Will Smith, and that complex just upset me.
I have no idea what's happening. What it essentially boils down to is David Benioff was like, guys, you know what will make people laugh in the theater? If Mary Elizabeth Winstead takes her clothes off and it's awkward, but then it's also like Mary Elizabeth Winstead is taking her clothes off.
While we're on the subject of David Benioff making us laugh, this has to be mentioned in a review. The greatest line in this whole fucking movie about towards the end of the third act of this fucking movie, we cut to a scene where the head of the spy agency is in the principal office with his son. And
Wait, hold on. That's not at the end of the third act.
No, I said the first act.
Oh, I thought you said third act. My
First
bad.
act.
For the record, Metz wasn't out of tune. You were, Erickson.
Towards the end of the third act.
But he didn't know. And that's bad enough.
At the end of the first act, we cut to a scene where the head of the spy agency is in the principal office with his son. And we hold in this scene for a minute before the guy gets the phone call to leave. And what's happening in that principal office? The principal goes to the son and goes, now why would you think you should do that in the school? Let alone, you shouldn't even be doing something nasty like that in the privacy of your own home. Why would you do it in science class? And now, Connor, help me out. What is the kid's response to allegedly what we can only assume to be masturbating in his science class? What is his response?
Science is wicked boring, man.
What the This isn't the movie!
That's such an hello, my fellow kids line.
We, no joke, could not stop laughing for probably at least 2 minutes after that.
That happened a lot during this movie.
It was just so much. And then the guy gets the call and just starts talking about Will Smith on the phone. This has nothing to do with the movie. I can't even pretend this movie's good. I stick by my opinion that it's a 1. Because why would you include that in the movie if you wanted this to be good? It is good because that's just the greatest thing. Why would you put that in the script?
Nobody tried. I feel like that's the thing to note in making this movie. It feels like a spec script that a film student wrote.
Yeah, and I think that's why, if I'm getting back to, the critical look at it, that's why I give it a 1. I don't see any pluses with this movie. The technology could have been a plus, but that wasn't even good. It wasn't even good. I felt like most of this movie is just conversation scenes that are really not entertaining or stupid. The dialogue's stupid. And I get to see them in 60 frames per second in 3D. Why? Why would I want to see that in 60 frames per second in 3D? Like, why? This is not the movie to take these technological leaps.
It's not, but I'll give it 2 purely because it's not the worst movie it's not even the worst Will Smith movie I've seen in theaters.
What would that be?
Do the math.
I mean, you're probably going to say Suicide Squad, but I think this is a worse movie than Suicide Squad.
It's not worse than Suicide Squad. Because this
What
movie
do
at
you
least
Suicide
has,
Squad?
like, if I'm rating it,
Yeah.
a 0. There's nothing redeemable about Suicide Squad.
Okay, maybe you're right. Because this movie is entertaining.
We
If you
can-
go to see it, like,
Here's the thing.
you won't be let down.
We can at least say it's entertaining because it's fucking funny. Not intentionally, but it is. But even just rating it as a movie, the CGI is impressive in some scenes.
But then, okay, so we're going to have to overcut this, because I saw this clip before, and I was like, wow, I know what I'm in sync for. This is a scene where young Will Smith motorcycle whips the old Will Smith with a motorcycle to the face. And now, if you look here at the way old Will Smith's body moves...
It looks like a rendering from Mortal Kombat 11 Fatality, but like the Switch version of Mortal Kombat.
And then we also have this bit here where like old Will Smith jumps up to dodge the motorcycle, and I think there's like a lion roar sound effect. There's something. Ah! Do you remember the one scene where young Will Smith is hugging, Clyde Owens, his AKA father figure? What was his name?
Clive Owens?
Fuck. I don't know, whatever. He's hugging him, and then he's crying, and the CG was kind of breaking because they couldn't handle the fact that there was a tear over this face. So young Will Smith's face just looked really painfully awkward.
I don't think that's a real tear, though. Thank you, Will Smith.
Settle your demons. I want to watch this movie again.
I do too, I was thinking
I want to see it again.
In the end, this is probably the worst movie you can go see in theaters right now. Please go.
Okay, this movie's making literally nothing. So if you see it as a bit with your friends, if you have AMC A-List or something, you have the opportunity to see this movie in theaters. Because nobody's ever going to play this in theaters. There will never be an anniversary screening of Gemini Man. This is your one shot.
Here's
to see this.
I think it was in my film as literature class where people were like, why'd you go see the Emoji Movie? You're just supporting it. We're getting an Emoji Movie too because of that. I would love an Emoji Movie too. I would love a Gemini Man too. Everyone needs a paycheck sometimes.
Will Smith must have got a big one.
Will Smith takes residuals now.
What's that?
It's like a percentage of the box office earnings.
Oh
wins
God! How did we forget Connor? So then in this finale scene that we get, young Will Smith and old Will Smith team up later on, and young Will Smith defies his father figure, and he beats the crap out of him and knocks him out. But then Clive Owens wakes up, and he looks up, and we see a ninja.
A ninja in like a paintball mask.
And he says, he just looks at the ninja, he's like, go get him. And then young Will Smith and old Will Smith team up to fight this ninja. And this ninja is like freaking Spider-Man. This thing is a CG monster.
He's like Spider-Man plus Terminator.
It's spinning across the room.
Yeah, and taking explosives like a tank. And then he eventually goes down.
If you take your time and you have 2 Will Smiths, you can take down this monster who is, we reveal,
Even younger Will Smith.
Even younger Will Smith. I wasn't anticipating it to be that straightforward.
Because I whispered you in the theater. I was like, when Ninja showed up, I whispered to you guys, like, it's gonna be 16-year-old Will Smith. And then it was!
And then it was. And then he died, and then Clive Owens comes, and he's like,
why not just make a whole army full of them?
But the fact is that they didn't, because they have to have the kind of hindsight thought to think about this shit in 16 years ahead, so he didn't. So he only made one of them. But for some reason, he raised one of the Will Smiths as his son, and the other one he raised as a pure weapon. Because, but he didn't raise more than one. So at the end of the movie, we have old Will Smith and young Will Smith, and young Will Smith is going to college.
He's like, oh, I want to be a history major, and Will Smith is like, no,
You have to choose.
computer.
He's like,
It doesn't matter.
He's
This
like, I
is
get to
terrible.
choose my future. He's like, I get to choose my future. And then old Will Smith's like, fair enough, I fucked up mine. Ha ha ha.
I will say this, in the end, I don't think this is the worst movie ever made.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with her face.